Thank you so much. You can hear me all right. Uh, Good
Yes, we can hear
evening.
you. Yes, yes.
Fantastic. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Mary, and to the Department of Aging and Caregiver Education in Anne Arundel County. I'm always happy when I'm invited to do these short introductory sessions. And as you said, it's going to be lighter. It's about creativity. And so I think as we enter into the holiday season, it's nice to lighten our spirits and get some creative tools for our own stress management, as well as caregiving. So I'm delighted to be here with you. Stories Love Music is the nonprofit, the 501c3 that is providing this webinar for you tonight about the joy of creative engagement for caregivers, which is our program that we developed for caregivers and that you're going to hear about tonight. And if tonight whets your appetite and you want to really engage in this, I'll tell you at the end about how you can register for the full program. So again, I'm happy to be here with you, and let's dive in. So an overview of what we're going to get to in tonight's webinar, which is what is Stories Love Music's mission that led us to create this really powerful program about engagement for caregivers. What is creative engagement? What does that even mean? How can music be a part of our self-care and also be a creative tool in our caregiving? And then learning a bit about our full program, which you can take advantage of, which are always free due to the wonderful donors and sponsors that Stories Love Music has. All of our programs are free for caregivers. So Stories Love Music created this program for caregivers, which is a program that blends music and storytelling together. They're in a relationship together, and together they provide the creative engagement for both the caregiver and the one that they care for. And in our program, we reinvigorate people's origin stories with music. When were they first introduced to music? When did their relationship to music start forming? That's a really big part of the work that we do, is remembering all of our deep universal relationships to music. So it's only fair that Stories Love Music shares our origin story, which began during Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy 2012 was battering the East Coast predominantly and really decimated these senior citizen facilities. I happen to be living in, yes, I see a hand raised.
Ileana, you are muted again.
Huh, there we go. I'm back.
And for those of you, I'm not seeing who's got their hand raised. So go ahead and if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll be able to address your questions.
Thank you. I did forget to say that. As we go through, there's going to be some interactive questions and moments and times for thoughts and reflections. So you can put them in the chat and Mary will uh, read them in those moments. So you can hear me again? Shall I dive back in?
I can hear you. Yep.
So as I was saying, Stories Love Music's origin story started during Hurricane Sandy in 2012. So all these senior citizens facilities had been decimated, knocked out of power and water and electricity. And all of those seniors had been relocated to some shelters where I happened to be living in Brooklyn, New York at the time. And we went to the shelter as we were asked to come and play music, to play a concert. As I'm a musician, as well as an educator and executive director of Stories Love Music. So, as a musician, I was asked to come to this shelter and play music with my husband. And we did a concert. And as I walked in to the shelter, I saw hundreds and hundreds of cots and seniors laying on them with fluorescent lights overhead that, did not seem to turn off. And it was this very stark and heavy reminder about how many seniors we had in the country, how many we were going to continue to have, the unique struggles that they have. Then we proceeded to do the concert, and after we played one of our songs called The Joy of Life, a woman who was attending our concert in the shelter, who was in her late 70s and blind and had been living in the shelter for a few weeks already, raised her hand and said, I really want to speak to the group. Your song really made me want to speak to the group. And we said, absolutely. And she said, when you sang that song to us, it made me realize that no matter how difficult things are for me, the storm, all the uncertainty, how scared I am about what the future holds for me, you made me feel like I belong and that I can have this joy of life. And right there was my light bulb moment, both as a musician and an artist, but as a human being as well, that music, creativity engages people, makes them feel seen and heard and belong. And there was something to that. And I didn't know where it was going to go, but that was the origin story that led to us creating this nonprofit to serve uh, people with memory impairment. And then ultimately, we pivoted and made it about the caregiver who spends the most time. Oh, I can't advance my screen. Hmm. Okay. So, Stories Love Music, our mission, and I'm sorry, is that chat box in the way for anybody else but me?
It's
That's,
no,
you can see this.
it's down at the bottom of the screen for me. So
Okay, great. You can see it. For some reason,
yes.
this the format that we're in right now is not letting me control anything, so I'm
Okay.
not sure
Hmm.
what is going on. Uh, so our mission at Stories Love Music, as we formed, was to improve the care and support of those living with dementia and Alzheimer's, providing enjoyment and reducing agitation, um, and anxiety for both the caregiver and the one that they care for by exploring the connection between music, storytelling, and emotional health, by assisting caregivers in managing the reactive emotions of the ones that they work with, um, either their loved ones, their family members, clients, if they happen to be professionals, and themselves. So that was our mission when we formed. Um, and then as I said, when we realized that it was really who was spending the most time with someone with memory impairment who could really benefit from learning this creative engagement, we realized it was the caregivers. So before we move on and move forward, let's define this term creative engagement before we talk about it as self care. And the reason why in our programs we need to start with self care before seeing this as a tool in caregiving is that we're building a house together, really, with this knowledge. And the foundation of the house needs to be strong. And the foundation is your self care and using music with yourself and understanding the power of creative engagement for yourself. And then you're more likely to see the power and the effect on using this with someone that you're taking care of. So defining this for yourself, if you have a piece of paper, a pen nearby, or you can put it in the chat, or you can just think it out loud, but we want to talk about what is creativity. So take a moment to yourself. How do you define creativity? And it's different than productivity, right? Getting things done on the to-do list. It's creativity for creativity's sake. What do you do in your life that's creative?
I'm watching the chat box, so go ahead and put anything that you want to say in that chat box. Leanna, I think our caregivers must be so tired and worn out right now. They're not feeling very creative.
So maybe they're just writing it down to themselves. So
Okay.
we start, just by defining what is creativity, what do you do that's creative? And then at the same time, looking at its partner, engagement. What is engagement? What does it feel like when you're engaged in something creative? So you may have recalled when you were going out and seeing maybe theater or dance companies or concerts or walking in a museum or something where you took in someone else's creativity and you were engaged by it. And how do you know you're engaged? How can you tell? It's like, what does it feel like when we get engaged by something creative? We feel it in our body, we feel it in our mind, we feel it emotionally. So we want to define those two things for it. Maybe this is, for a lot of you, the first time you're thinking about it, really having to define it. And creativity, some people are creative in the kitchen. Some people are creative with crafting, DIY crafting. Some people are artists in their as hobbies. So any of the things that have popped into your mind before we move on, anyone want to just throw them into the chat of how they define creativity, what they do already for creative sake, and anything about how they know they're engaged.
I'm going to pop in there if nobody else has it. But I know when I'm engaged in something creative, I lose all sense of time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right? Time becomes not so important. Right? I, as a professional musician, spend a lot of time with my music and completely lose sense of the outside world, which is sometimes very nice and beneficial. And then other times I have to remember to come back to things. And engagement wise, I'll share, I might feel it in my body, like I might get goose pimples, like goosebumps, or my heart might race a little bit, or I might get emotional, feel like crying or laughing. If I see a movie or a dance company that really moves me. Um, so that's how I know I'm being engaged. All right, so no one else has put any input in. Maybe people are
No,
just feeling
no.
shy, or they're just giving it some thought. All right, well, let's have a experience together with what I call my easiest example to show people um, how they can use music as self-care. So I ask caregivers that I work with to do music meditations. They can be 5 minutes, like one song, right, that you love, that you put on in a place where you feel like you can be quiet and really listen to the music. Um, and we're going to play with that now. So I'm going to sing for you. You can uh, put yourself in a comfortable position. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure that you're alert but relaxed. You can close your eyes if you like. Um, Contact your breath. This is a moment for you. Take some nice inhales and exhales, and all you have to do as you listen to this song is give yourself over to it, listen to it, and notice where your imagination and your mind go. Um, and don't stop them from wherever they want to go. Just allow the song to take you. Also, because you are muted, if you know this song, and I'm sure many of you will, you can feel free to sing along. Let's take one nice inhale, inhaling and exhaling. Maybe taking that caregiver hat off for a moment. It's something that you can return to as you need to, but now this is about you. Wise men say only fools rush in, for I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be a sin? For I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life too, for I can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, darling, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. Take my hand, take my whole life through, for I can't help falling in love with you. Inhale and exhale. Just notice where your mind went as you heard me singing to you, as you heard that song specifically. What did you notice? What did you feel? Did you think of someone particular, a particular time in your life, a specific emotion? And there are no wrong answers here. We don't judge what comes up with music. We just notice and allow. So this is a small example that you could start by doing once a day, choosing, and you're going to start a personal playlist for yourself as a caregiver. Songs that you love, that you know if you were to just have a list and put on one particular song, take 5 minutes when you need it, listen to it, close your eyes, hopefully be in a little space where you can have some privacy, and allow yourself to regulate your breath and your stress level and just allow your imagination to flow. You can do that. People can find that 5 minutes, especially when it's really needed. And then people go, oh, you know what? I started doing that once a day and now I'm doing it every day, all week long, and it's really helping me when I'm on some sort of emotional train that I want to get off of, or my stress has become unmanageable. If anyone wants to throw into the chat anything that came up in that song, what they thought of, what that song means to them, or what they thought about. Again, no right and wrong answers. Feel free to do that now. This is a wonderful book that I often recommend, and this is a great starting place for building your personal playlist as a caregiver, your music playlist. Daniel Levitin, who is a very well-known neuroscientist, studies music, the effect of music on the brain, is also a musician. And The World in Six Songs is this book that breaks down our relationship to music in these sort of six big segments: friendship, joy, comfort, knowledge, religion, and love. Now, if you look at this list, maybe your eyes go to one of these that helps explain your origin story with music. Some people go, you know what? My origin story with music really began in church or other places of worship. I love spirituals. I sang in a choir. So for me, it's religion. So you could make a list of songs based on that. For some people, they say, oh, well, when I was young, it was my friends. My friends and I shared music. And I can think of all these great songs that my friends and I would share, or I have all these great memories of my friends and I around music. Maybe it's the comfort that it brought you, that you have a list of songs that are really comforting. Or maybe it's your love relationship in your life and a series of love songs. Whatever it is, use this as a leaping off point to look at how music has affected you, how you formed your relationship with it, how it has formed you and the story of your life, all these significant moments in your life that have music. So, really feel free to use these words as a jumping off place. You could come up with 5 songs, 5 or 6 songs for each one of these areas, and then you'd have a really strong playlist for yourself to do these music meditations. Now, when in my caregiver program, my full music program, when we move into looking at creativity in caregiving, we have to start with looking at challenging moments. And this quote that you see up here, where there is great love, there are always miracles, Willa Cather. I saw this quote the first time I attended a dementia care training program in New York City at the Alzheimer's Association. When I saw this quote, I didn't really understand what it had to do with all of this, with this taking care of someone with dementia. But over the years, doing my field work and study and seeing how music affects people with Alzheimer's and their caregivers now, I've seen some miraculous moments where creative engagement in really challenging moments really brought about miraculous transformations in people, whether that was getting them verbally engaged, physically engaged, cooperation with care, deepening your level of connection with someone. And a great illustrative story I can tell you is that I was doing my work in a hospital in Brooklyn on an Alzheimer's unit, and I was working with a woman in her 90s who is in late stage, and she'd be in a wheelchair, not really engaging, not looking, not speaking, really her head turned toward the ceiling. And when I would come in and engage her, we would sing a song that she loved, which was Amazing Grace. And as I started to sing it, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, her head would come down from the ceiling. She would make eye contact with me. She would start swaying her body from side to side. A huge smile would come to her face. And she was there in the room with me. And one day, as we were doing this, three women appeared in the doorway of the room we were working on it, and they happened to be this woman's daughters. And she came in to join. They came to join this session with their mother, and they were so delighted to see their mother so engaged, so enjoying the music that they started to enjoy it with her. And they were all singing and swaying to Amazing Grace. And then as the song ended, as music is really a doorway, not an end. And as the song ended, it led to them telling stories of their mother. And she sat and looked at them and smiled as they shared stories of being children with her. And it was just such a beautifully engaged moment that made them both so happy. And at the end, one of the daughters, as happens with families, the anxiety of what was happening to their mother crept back in. And one of their daughters said to the mother, "Mom, do you know who I am today? What's my name?" And in that moment, the woman shut back down. It was over. Her eyes closed. Her head went back to the ceiling. She basically left the room and was no longer with us. And the daughters saw that. They saw that difference. So that's an example of the transformations that happen to people from early to late stage when we engage with them creatively versus testing them or being in a fear pattern with them. I bet you have a lot of tools already, right? But when you need to shift your emotional outlook, as well as the mood of the one that you care for, manage your stress levels, what do you do? So, what I'm offering in this program is that you try creative engagement with yourself and with others because music transports us, right? It can keep us moving forward when we feel frustrated, when we feel isolated, when we feel exhausted. Because as the studies show, also just for aging, for us as a culture with aging, music and gathering together, maintaining social ties and togetherness is vital for both the senior with memory impairment and the caregivers. We all need that togetherness. So I want you to really start seeing this as a tool for your own self care and stress management, as well as to help you in the care of the one you're caring for. These are the steps, and this is a very general overview. This is what we go through in our program. What we do is we start with creative engagement as self care. You learn many ways to use music and creativity for your own self care. And then in later sessions of our program, we show you how to conduct your own creative engagement session for the one you care for. You don't have to be a professional musician, singer, music therapist. You just have to take your love of music, and music is so universal. You have to take your love of it and be open to using this with someone and seeing if you see the validity of it, you'll see how much it will mean to someone who's losing their memory. So the steps are, how do we choose what songs to use with our person? So in the same way you made a playlist for yourself, you're going to make a special playlist for the one that you care for. And we talk about in our program lots of great ways to do this, but here's a quick tip. The person that you take care of, you take their birth year. What year were they born? And then you're going to slide that up to when your person would have been in their late teens, like 18 or 19, and really starting to form their own tastes of music, their own relationship to music. So you'll slide that birth year up until when they would have been 18 or 19, and then use that as an era for selecting music. Trust me, those will be powerful songs for them in their soul, in their brain, in their heart. Um, so that's a great first tip on how to choose songs. But family members, I work with professional and family caregivers, and family caregivers have an advantage over professionals in that they know the person they're taking care of, and they may know their musical tastes. They know some musical memories. They may be able to look around and see evidence of the person's music history. So be an investigator, be curious, and you're going to experiment with this music. Some things are going to really provoke these miraculous transformations. Other things may fall flat, but it's a fun exploration. Then we talk about how to play the songs, how to use the equipment and the things that are available to us, right? Everything from using, your phone, electronic devices, CDs, instruments, whatever is available to you, the best way to play music and use music. Now, the big main point here is that music is very background in a lot of our lives, okay? You know how you walk in the grocery store and there's just music playing in the background, or in the drugstore, or you might just put on music when you're washing dishes or folding laundry, and it's kind of like wallpaper. This is not that. We want to move music to the foreground, to the focus. So you're not just going to play music with your person and let it play. You are going to sing it with them. You're going to enjoy it with them. You're going to experience it with them. So that's a very big distinction I want to make. So we talk about where are the best places to do these music sessions. If you're doing this in a home, where's the best place to do it? How do you prepare for it? Uh, and a lot of that, what I mean by that is that if you have invested in trying this to see what happens with your person, to have a sense of curiosity of how they'll respond to the music and how it might change their mood, your mood, uh, cause more communication between you, more cooperation. If you prepare yourself and are invested in it, you will get a lot out of this session. If you're not invested in it and you're not sort of seeing the value of it, you won't get as much out of it. A lot of caregivers have said that when they've come back and shared their stories with me, they said that was very much true. So their mental and emotional preparation, and really starting with those meditations, if you do your own little music meditations, 5 minutes a day, and then every day, when you sit down and do this with your person, you'll know the value because you've experienced it. What do you do as the music is playing? We go over that, how to do that, what happens after the song plays, how to utilize the changes that happened in your person to the music, and then something we call how to listen with your third ear. How, and the third ear is not these two ears, but the ear of your deeper instinct, your deeper intuition of what is going on with the person. If they're struggling, if they're in pain, if they're in an emotional place that you'd like to transform with music, to really listening and being a really keen observer of what's going on with them. So this is a very quick overview of what we cover in our full program. But that's what we spend our time doing, making caregivers feel comfortable that they could do this with the people that they take care of. These are some communication keys from dementia care trainer Nancy Henley, who worked at the Alzheimer's Association, now Caring Kind. And these are really keys that will make your caregiving better, but really are a big part of making these music sessions happen. To be in agreement, to be encouraging, to listen really deeply to what's going on, to make eye contact during the music engagement session, mirror back whatever happens. So if somebody starts to physically respond to the music by shaking their shoulders, tapping their toes, singing along, maybe they try to say something, maybe they cry, maybe they laugh, that you mirror back either verbally, I see you're crying, or you shake your shoulders, so that they know they've been seen and that what they're experiencing with the music, you're taking that in. And all of these are really leading to this final point here of making the brain, and not just the brain, but the person, a better offer instead of a battle. Think about when you're upset and somebody gives you a hug or a cookie, or you listen to a song you love, and you feel that shift inside yourself. And instead of battling where you are, you calm down, you relax. So think about how beneficial that will be for the one that is struggling with memory impairment, is struggling with their emotional outbursts. So when you offer them this, you offer them this different way of being with you. So ultimately, it's about connection and communication and using music to do so. One of the other things we cover in our full program is that music, as I said, is not the end, it's a doorway. So when you listen to a song, you might think about the place that you grew up, or a particular time in your life, or time when you were in school, or a date you went on, or your college years, or your children, uh, things you love. So it's the same thing with the person with dementia and Alzheimer's. So a lot of times, what we saw in our field work and what caregivers would report is that music would bring up things, and then when they knew how to verbally prompt their person, they could encourage storytelling, an exchange, an improvisation, if you will. Now, it doesn't have to be logical, it doesn't have to be linear. It's just an expression when expression is hard. And they don't often get to do this. So, and this takes some practice and some getting comfortable. So that's why we cover this in our program, how to use music to get to the verbal prompting, which can encourage storytelling. Let's try another music meditation. So this will be your second one. So now you know what's coming, right? Let's try to go into a deeper experience with yourself, giving yourself this time. Get comfortable. If your body's feeling tight, sort of move any part of your body that feels tight and is holding stress. Again, close your eyes if you feel comfortable and just let yourself focus on an inhale and an exhale. Inhale and exhale. And all you have to do is listen deeply to this next song. Notice where you go emotionally, mentally, in your memories. And if you like, sing along, move your body, anything that feels good. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, the colors of the rainbow, they're so pretty in the sky. Well, they're also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? What they're really saying is, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow, and they'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Inhale, exhale. One more inhale and exhale. Just notice, where did you go? Did you allow yourself to go somewhere in your imagination? Did you allow your emotional life to be truthful, right? If you were feeling sad, you let yourself feel sad. If you felt good, or did you resist? And it's okay. If in both of these you resisted, why? Why did you not give over to yourself? What did you feel like you could not do? This is important information to make this become a new habit, a new ritual of using music to connect with yourself, to notice, ah, during my caregiving day, I notice I'm struggling. I'm tight, I'm stressed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm sad. Let me take a moment and really honor that, and then so I can get back to what I'm doing and feel perhaps a little invigorated. And then ultimately, as I said, to see the value and the weight of doing this with the person that you care for. So I want to invite you. Here's our information. If tonight's introductory session whet your appetite, we are about to launch our next, and this will be the last program for 2021. It starts Tuesday, November 30th, and they are Tuesdays. So 3 Tuesdays in a row. You have to commit to all three. 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. They're 2-hour sessions. We will go fully together as a group into how to use creative engagement as a beneficial tool for yourself. And I have seen caregivers report that they had great change in their self care and their stress management. And then, as a tool in caregiving, wonderful stories about deepening their relationship with the one they care for, really changing their daily routine with their person by including this. Caregivers get a chance to share their stories in a safe, private environment. And if you want to learn more about this Joy of Creative Engagement for Caregivers program and you want to register, which you have to do just by the 29th at the latest, you can visit us at storieslovemusic.com and register there. And I would love to have any of you, I can't see you, but I'd love to have any of you that are on this webinar tonight join us. It's a powerful program. And tonight was just really a very quick overview of it, but I hope that it inspired you to want to learn more.